Thanks for joining us today on The Frame, brought to you by Access Framingham. I'm Brendan Fitzpatrick. We start with a major update on regional public transportation. Plans to expand services and to increase employee wages have been approved by the Metro West Regional Transit Authority's Advisory Board. The announcement was made by Jim Nee, the administrator of the organization, earlier this month, following the revisions made to the MWRTA's 2024 fiscal year operating budget. In a statement, Nee said, quote, "We are very excited that the MWRTA board unanimously approved changes which will allow us to better serve the people of Metro West and to support those frontline employees who are providing the service." State money is now slated to provide expanded transit services over the next 2 years. That includes more transportation on nights and weekends. The MWRTA is looking to become more in line with other transit authorities throughout Massachusetts. In order to carry out those expansions, they've increased their efforts to recruit and retain employees. In-house staff members have been primed for pay rate adjustments, while a deal for a $2 per hour increase for drivers, dispatch personnel, and supporting staff has been made in principle between the MWRTA and National Express, an international transportation contractor. An update on the ongoing school bus shortages in the city, as a carpool service is set to be launched by Framingham Public Schools through a vendor next Wednesday, November 1st. Executive Director of Finance and Operations for the school district, Lincoln Lynch, outlined the program during the October 18th school committee meeting. The district will run background checks on those who sign up. From there, families can link up with neighbors and other community members in order to offer another way for students to get to classes. NRT Bus Incorporated, the company contracted to provide transportation to city students, is still only providing 57 drivers. That's 20 short of what the agreement calls for. Lynch advised that nearly 5,500 students, including close to 750 who are ineligible, have been assigned to routes this school year. Framingham is now down to 157 students that have requested transportation without a ride.
This is a testament to the dedication of the transportation department. They have done amazing work, worked long hours to get as many students. But as you can see, we do have a ways to go, so the work doesn't stop.
NRT reportedly told school committee chair Jessica Barnhill that they still believe their goal of getting 5 more drivers to serve Framingham following winter vacation is, quote, attainable. Still, Adam Freudberg of District 4 maintained that an approach of aiding NRT when possible, while still investigating alternatives like bringing bus driving operations in-house, should be investigated.
I really think that this budget exercise that you're going through is so important for all the things I mentioned, but it's going to take many months to actually do this transition if it ever happens.
Mayor Charlie Sisitsky told city councilors on October the 17th that making bus drivers city employees is a future outcome that is currently being looked into. And speaking of the mayor, his first executive order of the year has been signed, as Sisitsky approved the creation of a task force to investigate food composting within Framingham. The mayor will appoint 13 members to investigate options for food composting in the city. Officials like Department of Public Works Director Bob Lewis and Recycling Coordinator Eve Carey will work alongside other employees of the government and Framingham residents. Composting aims to reduce carbon emissions due to food being disposed into landfills. The city hopes costs related to processing trash can also be reduced through this practice. In a statement, the mayor's office noted that less than 500 Framingham households partake in private composting, though they're exploring the possibilities of a larger program being enacted. Friday, November 3rd is the deadline to apply to take part in the food composting task force. Details can be found on www.framinghamma.gov. If you want to learn more about that story or any of the others brought to you here on the program, you can visit our website, www.theframe.news. From local weather and traffic to other stories that matter to your community, your Framingham News in Focus is covered. And also, if you've got a tip for us, email us at theframe@accessfram.tv or call our tip line. It's 508-216-0003. That task force executive order is a good transition into our next story. Topics related to climate challenges facing Framingham were the focus of a community forum this past Saturday, as candidates for the city council gave their thoughts on the matter. The event was hosted at First Parish along Vernon Street by the volunteer group Energize Framingham. There, citizens asked questions on a number of climate-related topics. All but 3 of the city council races this year are uncontested. However, those candidates in attendance, including Sean Silk and Brandon Ward, who are both looking to represent District 2, outlined their climate platforms if they're voted into office. Silk told residents he wants to tackle multiple issues, while Ward's focus was primarily on transportation.
My intention is to really represent you and to bring all of your concerns and needs to public view for consideration. I want to really see a little bit of progress on all the issues that you care about.
Climate change, sustainability is an existential crisis, not only for this community, but for this state and for our world. And so it's imperative that Framingham, that our community, our government, is a part of the solution, not the problem.
In a similar vein, District 8 candidate Leslie White Harvey advocated for an expansion to the MWRTA. She joined all other candidates in incentivizing the development and access to more electric vehicle infrastructure. White Harvey also promoted more green space through the closure of the MCI Framingham prison and continued work at Mary Dennison Park.
I believe we should not only have the green space, but also access it and use it. So I've been encouraging the residents to come and join me there.
John Stefanini, meanwhile, is running for re-election in District 8. He's also in favor of promoting green spaces, as he told attendees about his work on a program that would see Route 135 gain 600 new trees along its path.
And we've got some private investors that are coming in. We've got to work through the logistics of it. But the idea is to figure out how, as part of a master plan for that area, we do create a green canopy.
Candidates did differ on the idea of Framingham opting into the Massachusetts Specialized Stretch Code, however. That optional mandate would call for new buildings to be constructed with future electric utilities in mind. 20 cities and towns, including Boston, have already opted into this code in the state. Those candidates in favor of joining said it would be a big boost towards reaching net zero carbon emissions in Framingham by 2030, while those hesitant expressed concerns that it could leave the city in a bad position for development down the line. The 2 candidates for the District 9 post, incumbent Tracy Bryant and challenger Jose Ferreira, both said that the proper strategy is the one that makes the most sense for the city.
How can we make it work for Framingham? Because it could help. Yes, it can help us get closer to, net zero, right? But if it's done correctly. But if you dismiss it out of hand, then you never get there. You never go in that direction at all.
We have to think about what are we debating here. We're debating the future of this planet. We're debating their grandkids' future, not ours. We're not making decisions for us. We're making decisions for the future, so we have to be very careful.
And if you're looking to make your voice heard, the deadline to register to vote in the November 7th general election in Framingham is this Saturday, the 28th. Let's take a look now at the local forecast for the next few days. You can expect clouds early on Friday before sunshine gradually begins to take over the skies. A beautiful way to begin your weekend. Highs in the upper 70s and lows in the upper 50s. The nice weather looks like it will be continuing into Saturday. A sunny outlook all day with highs again near 80 degrees and lows in the upper 40s. A chance of showers from the late morning onwards on Sunday, however. Mostly cloudy skies as well, with highs in the upper 50s and lows in the upper 40s. Halloween is just a matter of days away. With that, AAA has presented a list of ways for trick-or-treaters and other residents to be safe. This is our weekly focus. Frame is pleased to be joined now over Zoom by Mark Shieldrop. He is a senior spokesperson for AAA Northeast. Mark, thanks for taking some time out of your day to speak with us today.
Hey, great being with you. Thanks for having me.
You're coming to us now as Halloween is just a matter of days away. Some fun celebrations, I'm sure. But AAA is taking the time to ensure that families across the area are safe on this October 31st, this Halloween. And I wanted to start first off, Mark, with drivers going out on Halloween. Maybe I'm speaking anecdotally here, but especially since the start of the COVID pandemic, drivers have just gone even crazier than they have before around Massachusetts. They already had, that reputation of being a bit wild, but especially since 2020, I feel like it's only gotten worse. When it comes to trick-or-treating, are there any concerning trends that you and your team have noticed over the last couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're not imagining things when you talk about how it seems to be that what's going on the roadways has gotten worse. People are certainly speeding. We've saw an uptick since the pandemic. In fact, in 2022, it was the deadliest year on Massachusetts roadways since we can go back looking at state data since 2002. So it's definitely things have been heading in the wrong direction. So we're really concerned about Halloween. In fact, Halloween is the worst day for child pedestrian crashes. So that's, children getting hit by cars in Massachusetts. We actually looked at the day, October 31st, going back all the way to 2002. And it is by far the day where we see the most children struck by cars. A total of 57 pedestrians, 17 and under, were involved in crashes on October 31st. The next closest day was November 9th with a total of 47. So it's certainly, timely. It's a great holiday. We have a lot of fun. I've got kids. We love getting dressed up and everything, but it's very important that, we put safety at the forefront. So we certainly recommend folks, take a few moments to kind of review those safety tips with their kids. But also, we want to talk to the drivers out there because, everyone knows that people are going to be out trick or treating. But when you're behind the wheel, you have to be paying extra attention that night. So if you're one of those people that tends to speed through the neighborhood, October 31st is a day where you need to ease up on that gas pedal. So the first thing we tell folks, avoid neighborhood shortcuts. There's going to be people out and about and pedestrians and folks milling about in neighborhoods. So stick to main roads, follow the speed limit. That's certainly important. You have to watch for children in the street. Young children can be really unpredictable. They're wearing costumes. They may not have reflective material on those costumes, so they may be dark costumes, and they may not really be paying attention to traffic and could be crossing the street and everything. So you really want to just mosey on down that road really slow and be attentive of that fact. And then, of course, don't drink and drive. Many adults celebrate and engage in festivities on October 31st. And we do see a tendency for folks to get charged with DUI. And hopefully that doesn't lead to anything tragic. Alcohol impaired drivers make up about a third of all motor vehicle crashes. That's an average of one death every 45 minutes because of drinking and driving. So, designate a sober driver that night. And if you can, stay home and let the kids have their fun and don't mix with that if you can. So that's certainly, the top advice that we give to drivers. And hopefully with that in mind, that we can have a safe holiday.
All of that mixed into the fact that the nights are getting longer, days are getting shorter. That seems elementary to know, but it is important when you talk about that in this context.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trick-or-treating, it happens in the evening. It's getting darker earlier. This is a time of year where many folks are starting to notice that when they're commuting home, the sun's on its way down, and it won't be long before the time change occurs. And then people are driving in the darkness when it would have ordinarily been light. So some younger families, they head out before the sunset and dusk, but generally the big crowds come after the sun goes down. So not only is visibility a concern, just because people are wearing costumes and that sort of thing, but it is darker, so visibility is important. Keep those headlights on, use your brights if need be, and you certainly want to try to take it easy and be mindful of the fact there's going to be a lot of pedestrians there.
And circling it back to the costumes themselves, obviously a key part of Halloween, part of the whole festivities. But what would you and your team recommend to ensure that costumes are safe to go out and about in neighborhoods this year?
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I would have a great costume, but then we'd had that freak cold Halloween where your mom makes you put on that heavy coat and hides your costume. Generally, we recommend that you can keep your costume, but put some reflective tape on it. You can get reflective tape all over the place, locally and online, relatively cheaply. Just a strip or two can make a big difference. The second thing is a child always has to have a flashlight with them. So that way they keep that lit, they keep it moving. So similar to when you're riding a bike with a blinking light at night, that flashlight is going to give drivers and other folks on the road a heads up and an awareness that you're there. We recommend that folks trick or treat together. So parents should be sticking with their youngsters at least until the age of 12, if not more. And then make a plan, of course. I mentioned this earlier. Sit down and discuss trick or treating safety and precautions, and plan your route ahead of time. Maybe think, is my neighborhood the safest neighborhood to be in? Do we have sidewalks? Are there a lot of people trick-or-treating in the neighborhood as a whole? Some folks are lucky. They live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of houses close together. People tend to trick-or-treat around the same time. You've got these big crowds moving together. I would jump in with one of those crowds. Safety in numbers Sometimes folks find that, they have to get in the car and maybe drive to a different neighborhood to really have a safe and successful trick-or-treating. So you're going to get more candy that way, but you're also going to be a little safer.
Again, folks, that's senior spokesperson with AAA Northeast, Mark Shieldrop. We thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with us to ensure that everyone has a fun and safe Halloween.
My pleasure, and I hope everybody has a great one.
Halloween, of course, is this upcoming Tuesday. More Halloween safety tips can be found on AAA's website. When trick-or-treating time comes around, or if you're just out and about in the community at any time, feel free to tag us with your pictures or videos on Instagram. We can be found there at @FrameNews_. Also, subscribe to the Access Framingham YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new episodes of The Frame go live. Let's take a look at what else is happening in our community as we bring it back to the upcoming city election. The League of Women Voters of Framingham will be holding a virtual forum for city council candidates on Sunday. Only the District 2 race between Brandon Ward and Sean Silk is confirmed to be featured during the event, which will be held on Zoom at 5 p.m. All candidates will have to be present for the League of Women Voters to feature a contested race in their forums. That's their policy. The League's Facebook page has more details on how to view the event. 2 grants, one from the state level and another from the federal government, are slated to help Framingham's efforts in conserving lands and promoting road safety. $1.25 million has been earmarked for the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, as well as Sudbury Valley trustees, for the purchase of 134 acres in the city for a conservation restriction. Located by Callahan State Park, the plan is to preserve the area's trails and recreation space. Meanwhile, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has made close to $60,000 available for the Framingham Police Department to boost the enforcement of road safety. That money can be used for things like additional safety equipment, more road signage, and the creation of public information campaigns. Middlesex County, which includes Framingham, is now at a moderate risk of West Nile virus infection, according to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. This comes after the state received its 5th reported human case of the virus this past Friday, likely stemming from Hampden County. The DPH is advising residents that even as the temperatures turn cool, mosquito bites can still occur, especially between dusk and dawn. In turn, state officials are recommending that residents use insect repellent approved by the EPA while also wearing clothes such as pants, long-sleeve shirts, and high socks when outside. Standing water should be strained in order to prevent mosquito eggs from being laid, while screen doors should be installed or repaired. And finally, this week, the Massachusetts Lines District 33K recently donated 100 stuffed backpacks to migrant students across the Metro West region. The donations, as you can see on the screen, were presented at the South Middlesex Opportunity Council's Bishop Street offices in Framingham. With the donations, students from nations such as Venezuela and Haiti will gain access to essential school supplies. A reminder that The Frame is an initiative of Access Framingham, your local community media center located right here at our studios on Vernon Street. Thanks to them, we're able to present The Frame to you. Access Framingham can be found on RCN Channel 3, RCN HD Channel 1100, Comcast Channel 9, and Verizon Channel 43. The Frame airs on Access Framingham Mondays through Fridays at noon and 7 p.m., as well as on weekends at noon. More details can be found online at www.accessfram.tv. That's going to do it for this week's Framingham News in Focus. For all of us here at The Frame, we want to thank you for spending time with us tonight. My name is Brendan Fitzpatrick. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.